The way that you make me feel and the way you treat me, we will never, and the way you talk to me, we will never be able to have a child. You will never be able to get that gift from me, because I refuse to bring a child into a household that's in strife.
Webb and her boyfriend King are finally speaking out after her ex-husband Gregory Lunceford made some serious accusations against them. But is this about getting even, or did things really go too far? We've got all the details on what they had to say, how this all started, and whether Gregory's claims hold any weight.
Listen, not Dr. G has a wife and basically still has Quad on his mind. I didn't say it. Sierra Man has said it. That's why I like y'all say y'all didn't say it. What other reason would he be at with Quad's man? It's so much more, y'all. It's so much more. Y'all gonna drop, y'all heads gonna drop, y'all mouth gonna drop when y'all see it, because I told y'all before. Remember last season when Quad showed up to the finale and she came and asked if she could give Greg a hug and how he looked? Me and Carlos talked about it. Exactly what I said back then came into fruition. Y'all watch it. I said it. I'm not giving away the show. I'm just saying that go back and watch my previous lives and you'll understand everything.
To really understand how we got here, we have to go back, because Quad and Gregory's story has always been a ticking time bomb. They tied the knot in 2012, and at first they seemed like a great match. She was the stylish, outspoken reality star, and he was the successful psychiatrist. But behind closed doors, things were far from perfect. By the time they reached their breaking point in 2018, their arguments had escalated to a place of no return. Quad accused Gregory of being emotionally neglectful, while Gregory claimed Quad was more focused on her career than their marriage. It wasn't just a typical celebrity divorce, it was messy. They fought over money, property, and even pets. And the tension didn't die down after the paperwork was signed. Even after the divorce was finalized in 2019, the bad blood remained. Whenever they crossed paths, there was still an undercurrent of resentment. And things only got worse when Gregory moved on and found love again. His new wife, Latasha Lunceford, better known as Sweet Tea. Gregory and Sweet Tea's romance was a hot topic on the show, and their engagement was met with different reactions. Of course, Quad had her own new chapter. She was focused on her career and had been linked to a few men over the years, but it wasn't until she went public with King that people started paying attention again. And while Quad seemed happy in her new relationship, she still had feelings about Gregory and Sweet Tea's marriage, feelings that were about to come to the surface in a big way.
We really hope at the reunion that they break the third wall. Okay. That's all I can say. Because there were some things said off camera that would totally contradict what she said on camera.
Oh, wow.
And everyone heard it, which is why everybody was like, oh, you being a fraud. And this is what I told Jackie. I said, I want you to think twice next time. We're not gonna blame it on editing.
Right.
Because I've been here too for 10 years.
Right.
We give them, right?
Exactly.
What they can use.
Fast forward to the latest Married to Medicine cast trip, and what started as a fun game night turned into a showdown no one saw coming. It all went down at Dr. Heavenly's house. The ladies and their partners had gathered for what was supposed to be a lighthearted evening filled with drinks, games, and bonding. But this is Married to Medicine, and when you mix old wounds with alcohol, things get messy real fast. At first, the group was just playing a game of sip or spill where everyone had to either answer a question truthfully or take a drink. Naturally, things started to get shady when people asked about past relationships. That's when Quad, feeling very loose from the cocktails, made a comment about Gregory and Sweet Tea's marriage. She hinted that Sweet Tea was nothing more than a replacement and suggested that Gregory was still hung up on his past. Now, Sweet Tea has been trying to prove herself ever since she entered this circle, and she wasn't about to let that slide. She clapped back, saying that she was the one wearing the ring now, and if Gregory wanted Quad, he would have never left her in the first place. That's when the energy in the room shifted. Quad, never one to back down, fired back with a comment about how quickly Gregory jumped into a new relationship, basically suggesting he married Sweet Tea on impulse, not love. At that moment, Gregory himself stepped in, trying to shut down the argument, but by then it was too late. And this is where King entered the mix. Up until that point, he had been sitting back, observing, but once Gregory started raising his voice, King was not having it. He stepped in and told Gregory to keep it respectful when talking to Quad. Gregory, already heated, wasn't about to let another man check him. The two exchanged words, and it was clear they were one comment away from things getting physical. The tension in the room was thick. The rest of the cast tried to break it up, but the damage had already been done. Sweet Tea was fuming, Quad was trying to hold her ground, and King was making it very clear that he wasn't gonna let anyone talk down to his woman. And just like that, the night went from fun and games to an all-out mess.
Right? Now, your man King and ex-husband Dr. G seemed to have some beef between them on the last episode. How are things between those guys today?
Well, they don't have any interaction. You know, the show is wrapped up, everything is done. But what my man was saying was just respect her. You know, speak with, if you cannot speak to her nice, don't speak to her twice.
Right. Yeah. Ooh,
and that's what it was. And I think the way my man handled it, it was too much for Gregory. And he felt like his ego was stepped on, and so he wanted to have one up. So he decided that he was going to call the police. Although there was no one landed a punch, he was never hit or anything like that. And so he wanted to see if he can bring him up on charges for that, I guess, for a banter.
And just when you thought things couldn't get any messier, the night took an unexpected turn. The tension between King and Gregory had already reached its peak at Dr. Heavenly's game night, but what happened next took everyone by surprise. As the argument escalated, voices got louder and body language became more aggressive. Gregory, still feeling disrespected by King's interference, reportedly made a comment about Quad's past, implying that she was just bitter about his marriage. That set King off. Witnesses say King stepped closer to Gregory, getting in his face, and at that moment, security had to step in before things turned physical. While no punches were thrown, it was clear that the confrontation had crossed a line. Gregory, clearly shaken by the exchange, decided he wasn't letting this slide. A few days later, news broke that Gregory had officially pressed charges against King. Reports claim that he felt threatened by King's behavior and wanted to take legal action to protect himself. Some sources even suggested that the show's producers had to step in, warning King that any future aggressive behavior would result in his removal from filming. And this is where the rumors start swirling. Some insiders claim that King has already been banned from certain filming locations and that Bravo executives are trying to decide whether they want to keep him involved in future episodes. Others suggest that this was more of a warning than an actual ban. Either way, King's presence on Married to Medicine is now under a microscope. This whole situation has divided fans. Some people believe Gregory had every right to take legal action, arguing that he was just trying to avoid things escalating further. Others, however, feel like Gregory blew the whole thing out of proportion. Some even think he's using the situation to paint himself as a victim and shift the narrative in his favor. But while Gregory was handling things through the legal system, Quad and King had other plans for how they wanted to respond. Not long after news of the charges broke, Quad and King hopped online to address the situation directly, and let's just say they did not hold back. Right from the start, Quad was in full-blown, unbothered mode. She was laughing, rolling her eyes, and calling the whole thing ridiculous. According to her, Gregory was acting like he was in danger when in reality, nothing even happened. She made it clear that in her eyes, this was nothing more than an attempt to make King look bad. King, on the other hand, took a more serious approach. He defended himself, saying that he never threatened Gregory and that the situation was being blown way out of proportion. He insisted that all he did was stand up for his woman and that Gregory was the one who started throwing shady comments first. At one point during the live, Quad straight up called Gregory a snitch, accusing him of running to the authorities over nothing. She even implied that Gregory had been waiting for a moment like this to try and make her look bad. This man has been trying to play victim since our divorce, she said, shaking her head. The live session lasted nearly an hour, and fans flooded the comments with their own opinions. A person stated, "Gregory is always playing the victim. He got a whole new wife. Why is he still worried about Quad?" And that's the thing, this situation is messy. No matter which side you're on, it's clear that the bad blood between Quad and Gregory isn't going anywhere anytime soon.
I don't think there should be anyone who doesn't fight for their marriage. I mean, if you don't respect the institution of marriage. So I fought for my marriage, but that doesn't mean that was healthy at all. It got to a point where it's very unhealthy.
It wasn't right for
and
us.
so
Not
I
going,
moved
not
on.
coming, not in the morning, not in the evening. It wasn't right.
This has become a major debate among Married to Medicine fans. Some argue that Gregory had every right to press charges. If he felt threatened, it's understandable that he'd want to take legal action. After all, reality TV might thrive on drama, but that doesn't mean real-life conflicts should escalate to physical altercations. From Gregory's perspective, King was aggressive, and the situation could have turned dangerous. Plus, let's not forget, Gregory is trying to protect his new marriage with Sweet Tea, and the last thing he needs is more chaos from his past with Quad. But on the other side, many fans feel like Gregory completely overreacted. They see this as another example of him trying to control the narrative and paint himself as a victim. The fact that he and Quad have so much unresolved history makes people wonder, was this really about King, or was Gregory just looking for a way to make Quad and her new relationship look bad? And let's be real, calling the police over an argument that never even got physical? Some people think Gregory is doing way too much. A person commented saying, "Gregory is doing the most. King didn't even touch him and now he's playing the victim." Another one added, "Gregory is still pressed over Quad. He married Sweet Tea, but somehow he's always caught up in drama with his ex. Make it make sense." And that brings up the bigger question, will Quad and Gregory ever be able to move on? Every time it seems like they've put the past behind them, something happens that drags them back into each other's lives. This game night should have been just another cast trip moment, but instead, it turned into a whole legal situation that could affect the entire Married to Medicine cast. Then there's King's future on the show. If the rumors about him being banned from filming are true, what does that mean for Quad's storyline? Will she keep appearing without him, or will this incident push her away from the franchise entirely? And let's not forget, if Gregory is willing to press charges over this, what happens if there's another confrontation down the line? No matter whose side you're on, this situation is only getting messier, and we know there's more to come. Between Quad, Gregory, and now King being dragged into the mix, this might be one of the most explosive Married to Medicine feuds yet. And with tension still high, don't be surprised if this spills over into future episodes. Now, I want to hear from you. Was Gregory out of line for pressing charges, or did King deserve it? And do you think Quad and Gregory will ever stop taking shots at each other? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to hit that like button if you love Married to Medicine drama as much as we do. See you in the next video.